Today we're going to put xt60 connections on this wattmeter. Also, while we're here, we're going to put on xt60 connection on this cigarette barrel port as well to make up 2 ports. I've already found the positive side of this connection. Just used my multimeter to find out the positive. The positive is normally that little bit in the middle there. You can see it, that little shiny gold bit in the middle. That's normally the positive, and the outer ring is the negative. So I've already found that using a multimeter, the continuity test. What tools we'll be using today? Obviously the xt60 connections. I've got a little pack of heat shrink here, a little lighter just for the heat shrink. Got a helping hand. If you do a little bit of soldering, definitely invest in a helping hand. I've brought this a few months back and it's been a godsend. So much easier with this. I think I paid 11 or 12 bucks for it from J-Car. Obviously we'll have the soldering iron and some odd bits of tape and a pair of scissors as well. Alright guys, you want to make sure that your connections are nice and clean. As you can see, these wires here, they've been like this for ages, years possibly. They've all oxidized and they're all dirty, so we'll cut these off, clean them up and get ready for the next step. I've got it nice and clean now, ready to solder. With these xt60 connections, there's a male end and a female end. I normally put the female end on the receiving end of my devices. So the male end's normally where the power source comes from. So all my panels, solar panels and all that will have a male end. I noticed that too with a lot of the RC hobby cars and that as well, that the male end is on the battery side. So I keep all my xt60 connections that way, so then there's no chance of me muddling up the connections. If that makes sense. Right, got the female side all set up with my helping hand. As you can see, there's a plus on one side, similar to the male connection as well. There's a plus and a minus, so you can't mix them up. Also, another little thing you may not be aware of is that these can actually turn as well. You can see if you wanted to solder it in a little bit of a different position, you can move these around, which makes it a little bit easier for you. Alright, I've got this set up now, so we can solder away. Try to do this without getting in the way of the view. So what I simply do is just place a bit of pressure on, start pushing the solder in. And there it goes. Maybe not the best soldering for this one, but I think that's going to be good. Alright, got the minus side set up now, ready to go. Apply a little bit of pressure, start feeding the solder. Really should invest in a little fan. Saves sucking in these fumes. Alright. Alright guys, I'm all out of the smaller heat shrink, so what I'm going to do is put a little bit of tape. I'll wrap this around this first one like that, completely covering the first terminal. Go over the next one, wrap it up like that. Then what I'm going to use is this bigger heat shrink. I'm going to put that over this whole section here like that and heat shrink it down. Right, after a little bit of persuasion, we got this here on now enough. We can get the lighter on, heat this up, shrink it down. Careful not to burn it if we can help it. Yep, there you go. Ideally I would have liked some smaller heat shrink, so I could have done it like that, but with the tape and the larger heat shrink, I think this is going to work quite nicely. There you go guys. So remembering which side is which, this will be the source side, that's the load side. So on the source side we're going to be using the female connection on the source side, and then the male connection on the load side. So just keep that in mind, because we're keeping everything uniform. We want to make sure that this is soldered on the right way around as well. Alright, all set up, got my helping hand. Now we'll put a bit of pressure on this. This wire is just a little bit thicker than the connection, so I've got to heat it up a bit and then work it into the groove. This won't take a lot of solder because it's already got solder on it. And there you have it. Move on to the next side now. Okay, all soldered up. I've taped up both ends now. I'll put my heat shrink on. I'll use black now. That's sort of all I've got left. So I'll just use what I've got laying around. Get those on, heat shrink them up, and we're good to go. There you have it guys, my watt meters all hooked up, my new cigarette lighter ports all hooked up, pulling 100 watts. Keep in mind that these xt60 connections are only rated to 30 amps, so obviously this tester is technically rated to 150 amps, so if you ideally want to pull any more than 30 amps, you're going to have to probably put some big Anderson plugs or something on this. Just be aware that XT30s are only rated to 30 amps, so I'm not going to be using these units any more than 30 amps. So for me this is perfect, but for anyone else that wants to get a little bit more amperage out of these watt meters, you'll definitely have to get bigger plugs. Just keep that in mind guys. I hope you found this interesting. Hope you have learnt something, found some value out of this video. Cheers guys.